What's up guys, my name is Jeff Siemens. I'm the lead developer on the Geocortex Mobile product. Today we're going to be talking about how to integrate your apps with Geocortex Mobile. Hey, today we're going to be talking about integrating apps, external apps with the Geocortex Mobile platform. So when we talk about integrating apps, what I'm referring to is basically being able to open other apps from Geocortex Mobile and having other apps open Geocortex Mobile. So it's kind of that two-way directional inter-app communication that we're talking about here. And the primary mechanism for achieving this is by launching external URLs and handling incoming URLs. So let's talk about the first one first, which is the ability to launch an external app. So we'll start off with something really simple. And I'm going to add a menu item for opening Google. And we'll do open URL. And the defaults to that, we'll just leave it there. So open Google. And this is that app that I had open in Designer. Refresh it. Now my I Want To menu has the Open Google button. I click it, and there's Google. Okay, so that's a really simple example, but that's the basics of it. Now we can get a little bit more interesting. So let's say we want to, for instance, open the current extent in Bing Maps. So for that, I'm going to consult the Geocortex documentation. So this is our documentation center. And I know that we're working with the open URL command, so I'm going to search for that. Configure an open URL, that's what we want. This is in this documentation here. This is the screen that we're on. And the interesting part is here it lists off a bunch of location tokens. So you can, for instance, use the current user location. You can get the location of a feature if you're hyperlinking off a feature. Map center, map scale, map top left, top right, bottom left, etc. So there's a lot of different location tokens that you can use, and basically you just need to put this component in your URL, and it will get substituted dynamically when the user clicks that link. So I already have one of these cooked up, and it looks like this. So we're going to call this Open Bing Maps. Open current extent in Bing Maps. The command again will be open URL. And this time the URL is going to look like this. And so what it is this Bing Maps prefix. So in my previous example, I used HTTP, but URLs can also open other different types of apps with different prefixes. So if you have an app in that you're trying to integrate with and it supports a certain prefix, then this could be a mechanism for being able to open that app. Now Bing Maps happens to support some query parameters as well, so that you can pass it the lat, long, and level that you want to open up the map app. So in this case, we're going to, and notice the squiggly braces, we're going to launch Bing Maps with the current map center latitude and longitude, as well as the level. So let's give that a try. And we'll refresh this again. And now we've got open current extent in Bing Maps. And there you go. You can zoom in on a particular area and do it again. And it just kind of zooms to that level because it's already open. Okay, so there's a couple examples of things that you could do from the I Want To menu. Hopefully that gives you some ideas for how you could integrate your apps. And now I'm going to show you how you can sort of contextually do that for a particular feature. So let's go to Map, and we'll configure the hospitals layer. And let's say we want to be able to search Google for a hospital. call this Search Google. And the URL is going to look like this. Okay. So we'll do open URL again, and now it's actually even filling in an example for us. And all we have to do here is we just have to put in the name of an attribute. So any attribute names that you have, you can just put them in squiggly braces in the same way that we used location tokens. You can just put an attribute name in there, and then that will get substituted at runtime when you click on that button. So let's give that a shot. Okay, we'll find a hospital. One, and we'll click search Google, and what we want it to do is pass this name into Google search, Monterey Park Hospital, and there it is, Monterey Park Hospital. Okay, let's do another one. I'll do this that was just for the hospitals layer. We can also have feature actions for all layers. So let's say we want to be able to get some directions. So let's get directions, open URL again. Now we're going to have a little bit of a longer URL, but it's the same idea. So Google Maps, and again, we're going to pass it in the location. This time we're passing in the user's location, so location geolocation. Is the current user's location, and the destination will be the feature. So this is going to get us directions from my current location to wherever the feature is. So we're going to use this location feature latitude. So that's going to be the location of the feature that we click on. Okay, I'll save that and refresh again. And now when I click on a feature, and I'll do get directions, and there you go. So there's the directions from my office here in Victoria, BC, all the way down to Los Angeles, where that feature is located. Okay, so there's 4 examples on how you can use the open URL command to launch other apps, and be it a website or be it another native application installed on your computer, and how you can pass contextual map parameters, contextual feature parameters, location parameters, and attribute values to that app. Cool. So moving on to the second part now, which is how we can handle incoming URLs. So the easiest thing to do, right, is that we can just launch Go. So if you've got Go installed, you can just use GXM-Go, Geocortex Mobile-Go, click that, and it's going to launch Go. Okay. Next up, let's say we want to launch a particular app. Okay. Actually, the easiest way to do this, I have something copied and pasted in my notes here, but what we can do is we can actually go over here under Deploy. We can go get launch link, and this will actually just give you the URL to go. So you could put that into a browser. You could paste that in. You can copy it, or you can actually just click this button, and now it's launched that app within Go. And if Go is closed, that's okay. It will still launch that app. Okay, there you go. So let's do something a little bit more interesting. Let's say now we want to run a workflow. So if you want to do something interesting, that's the way you do it, is you run workflows from a launch link. So to do that, we're going to have to come in here to launch link workflows, and this is basically telling the app that it's okay to run this particular workflow from the launch of the application. So I have a workflow created. It's called, let's see, actually let me go over here to Apps Geocortex, go to Workflow. And I'll show you this workflow here first. Let's get that. Workflows, and it's called Workflow Argument Inputs. This is one I've already created. So this workflow, yeah, let's just try and run this one, then I'll show you how it works. So, workflow argument inputs, that's the one. Okay, now save that. And now what I can do is I can go into deploy, and now this time when I do get launch link, I can actually select that workflow, and it's going to populate this URL for me. So let's give that a try. And so the parameters are, right, it's got the app as the item ID in portal or ArcGIS Online, and then it's got the workflows item ID. So we'll launch that. There you go. So what it's done here is it's launched this app with this workflow, and it's done this display form. There's not much interesting going on there in terms of parameters, but we'll fill that in. So taking a look at the workflow, what we can see is it's using this this activity get workflow inputs. So you could find that over here in the drill docs. I've already added it, but get workflow inputs, it's right there. Once you've got the workflow inputs, then in this example, what I'm doing is I'm doing a display form. And where is it? Oh yeah, so on load of the form, then I'm doing a set form element property, and I'm going to set the element text2, which is this one, so text2. I'm going to set its value to be arg1, and then it's going to use this get workflow inputs result. So these are going to be kind of the URL parameters that you're able to pass in. So from this, I can see that I'm able to pass in an arg1 and an arg2. Okay. So going back here, I copy this, I put it into a browser. It's saying I can put in arg1 and arg2. So there's this workflow parameters, query parameter, and I can fill that in with arg1, hello, and arg2. Okay, I'll launch that. And there we go. So arg1 is hello, arg2 is Jeff. So fairly simple example, but what it's showing you here is just kind of the basics of how you would be able to take workflow argument inputs from a URL and be able to get them in workflow, and then kind of be able to do whatever you want within workflow using those parameters. So an example of this might be that you have kind of like a feature with maybe a record ID in another system, and you want to be able to open that feature on the map in Geocortex Mobile. So you'd be able to pass in from your other app, you'd be able to formulate a URL that includes basically passing in sort of the record ID or the asset ID of a feature in your system, and then being able to query that or do something useful with it. Okay, so that basically wraps up the topic of integrating apps with Geocortex Mobile. So you can, just to recap, you can have Geocortex Mobile open other apps based on URLs, and you can have other apps open Geocortex Mobile also using URLs. And there's a lot of power and flexibility there in terms of how you construct those URLs, what parameters you pass in, and using Workflow to be able to customize that process. So all in all, that should be a very robust tool set in terms of being able to integrate your apps with Geocortex Mobile. Thank you very much.